call. Of course, we do this call every Tuesday evening now, and I apologize, we're running just a little bit behind. I had a system error. The phone crashed on me as I was logging in. I am dialing in from my iPhone, but I am at home. Let me just double check. It's showing here that I'm off air. Let me make sure. Okay, looks like I am live. All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the call. Welcome to the webinar. Glad that you can make it tonight. A lot of exciting things are happening. Matter of fact, I'll just give you kind of a quick update. I just returned from Australia. We had a great event in Sydney, Australia. It was amazing to see the turnout. We just have amazing people there. People that are up and coming, that are very, very committed to Seacret and what we're doing there, and the success plan that's being laid out by Tiffany is phenomenal. You're seeing the buzz, you're feeling it, you're hearing it, you're experiencing it. So if you do know anybody in Australia, this would definitely be the time. I don't care where they are in Australia, from Melbourne to Sydney, into Adelaide. We were just in Brisbane, Australia. I had a chance to go experience the Gold Coast, which is another amazing market. And I understand it's a great market for relationship marketers. But Seacret is special, guys. Seacret is special no matter where we go on the planet. Seacret really, truly does stand out. And we continue to put our best foot forward. We've got the most amazing products. And of course, we talk about that a lot. And I think sometimes we take it for granted as an organization. The fact is, the real fact of the matter is that you can put our products head to head with any other products within our industry or even outside of our industry. And we definitely shine in that category, in the product category. A couple areas where we're continuing to focus big energy right now, and that's in the people development side, the leadership development side. And of course, that's why we do webinars like this and other webinars that are taking place. Of course, we've got the company webinar that happens once a week. And this is where we develop our organization. This is where we develop our people. And in the end, that's what we're in the business of. We're in the business of developing people. And as you develop people, you start to understand the power of building a network. You start to understand the power of leverage. And the reason why, when I'm doing a wow party or when I'm doing a 5 wows in 5 minutes, a one-on-one, whenever I'm communicating about our opportunity, about Seacret, I'm always communicating about the opportunity. I lead with the opportunity, even though the product happens to be the star of the show, and I can really demonstrate and have people experience our products. I always make sure that they know that I'm coming to them. I'm talking to them about a business opportunity, because we're so new in the game. We're so new as an organization that I really believe that it's critical right now that we are constantly talking about the business of Seacret, the business opportunity that Seacret can provide. And you don't always have to tell people, that you're going to make $1 gazillion and you're going to be rich and all that stuff. Matter of fact, I believe it's better if you don't. I think most people today want to hear about how to pick up some extra income, maybe some supplemental income to start with. And that supplemental income, of course, can turn into significant income. And as we start to develop people and we start to teach people the power of our business opportunity, you start off and you supplement a little bit. Maybe at some point, the Seacret opportunity takes care of your car payment. Maybe at some point, the Seacret opportunity takes care of you raising your own children. Maybe the kids come home from daycare. Maybe one of the spouses don't have to work. And you build your business on a part-time basis, usually in the beginning. Matter of fact, Jim Rohn, always talked about the power of the part-time story. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the hype of this person made, $50,000 last month. And then when we bring somebody into the business, we're almost insinuating, we're almost leading them to believe that they're going to come in and they're going to make all this crazy amount of money. And of course, if they don't make the money in whatever time frame they feel they should have made it in, then all of a sudden they're derailed. All of a sudden they're upset. They're not trusting you. They're not trusting the opportunity. And of course, they're off looking for something else, unfortunately, or eventually figuring out that relationship marketing is, first off, of course, about relationships. It's about building relationships. And as anyone that has a meaningful relationship, that building a relationship takes time. It takes energy. It takes effort. It requires patience. So the name of our profession is relationship marketing. So right out the gate, when we're communicating about our profession, relationship marketing, we've got to set the expectations with our new agents properly. That, look, this is relationship marketing. It's about building relationships. Now, fortunately, if you've recruited up, as we like to speak, or sponsored up, I prefer to call it. If you sponsored up, then you found people that have already built relationships. Maybe they have meaningful relationships already, business relationships, personal relationships. People that have meaningful relationships tend to do better inside of Seacret earlier on because relationships have already been built. But that doesn't mean they don't have to follow the system, because people that have great relationships will sometimes use those relationships and approach them in a non-systematic way, not using the process that we've developed, not using a system-dependent approach. And then their business quickly becomes person-dependent or people-dependent. And then later on, now, if it doesn't happen right away, which it won't happen right away with someone who has a lot of credibility and a lot of relationships, they'll come out of the gate and look extremely good. They'll come out of the gate and, because of those relationships, people will join just because of those relationships. But the challenge becomes down the road then that they built the business based on those relationships, based on their personality, being able to attract those individuals. And now down the road, it leads to frustration. So you get my point. If you don't get the relationship side of things, you'll get frustrated very early on. But if you get the relationship side of things, but you don't get the systematic, the process-driven side of things very early on, you're going to be frustrated down the road. And so what does that mean? It means that most distributors, most agents inside of Seacret become frustrated at some point or another. Now, the key is when that frustration comes, again, I love what Jim Rohn says. He says, I turn frustration into fascination. Hopefully that was, we're developing people, we're teaching them along the way, and we're setting proper expectations. Even if they have a lot of credibility, they can bring 50 people into the business tomorrow. Sometimes we have to slow down to speed up. We have to say, look, there's a process to everything that we do, and what we're building is a duplicatable system. So because you have a lot of credibility, because you have a lot of relationships, you may bring someone into the business who does not. So you have to then teach that person how to become the type of person that can attract people with credibility, that their personal credibility doesn't have to be the issue. It doesn't have to be the reason, because I just was on a thread on Facebook with one of our agents, and one of the people that was in the thread, she was communicating with about Seacret, and that person kept, was asking her, how much have you made inside of Seacret? She said, I don't care what anyone else has made. I want to know what you have made. And part of the challenge, as I looked at that thread and I evaluated, what took place there, is that the approach, the way the individual was approached, she felt like she had to be introduced by someone that was making $10,000 a month or better. And when she discovered, of course, that the person that was introducing her to the business wasn't making $10,000 a month or better, she was now turned off by the entire process. Now, this is important to understand that even if they don't say it, a lot of times they're thinking it. They're thinking, well, what have you done? Or maybe they already know what you've done. Maybe they know that last week you were borrowing money from them. Maybe they know that you were behind on your bills. Maybe they know that there's been some struggles within your household, or maybe they see you as an expert somewhere else, but they don't see you as an expert here. And when we deliver the Seacret message based on us, based on our credibility or lack of credibility, but again, coming at them in a people dependent system, of course, it's going to break down. It's going to lead to frustration. I did a training many years ago in Las Vegas, and the training was one of the early trainings that I did, and it was called system driven versus people driven. And of course, I talk a lot about the McDonald's story, and I really believe that what we're doing is so much like McDonald's, because we're setting up these distribution points, and the argument at one point in McDonald's was, will McDonald's saturate the market? And it's interesting when you think about that McDonald's is still this massive global powerhouse. I don't know, $40-50 billion a year powerhouse, and they're still growing. There's growing in the United States, not at the same clip that they did at one point. But look, when you're bringing in billions and billions of dollars, and even billions of customers now, billions have been served. You can slow the growth down here, but still have a revenue stream that keeps going, and that revenue stream is completely dependent upon a systematic approach. I apologize, guys. I had a call come in while I was talking. Upon moving those burgers, arguably we could all build a better hamburger than McDonald's, but it was their systematic approach that allowed them to then take the business to a global scale, to cross economic borders, to cross geographic borders and religious borders and all these things. There's not many people in the world that couldn't tell you what a McDonald's hamburger tastes like. And I keep comparing us to this because there's a couple things that stand out inside of McDonald's that they do things that a 17-year-old can do without any challenge. They do things that don't make the system dependent on any one person. Even Ray Kroc, when he was building the organization, if you get a chance, I always recommend read the book Grinding It Out by Ray Kroc, and you see the challenges that he had in creating a system that would eventually take over, a system that would operate with or without him being involved. So when Ray Kroc was gone, McDonald's actually became a bigger company. You know, sometimes when we look at our secret organizations, you know, you have to evaluate it from the standpoint, if we weren't there, if you weren't there, what would your organization look like? If you weren't there doing all the motivation, if you weren't there doing all the talking, the presentations, if you weren't there constantly calling your people to say, reminding them to get on this call, what would happen? Would they stop working? Would they show up? Would it continue on? And it was one of my mentors many years ago. He said that 80% of your business after 2 years should be outside of your backyard. And when I evaluate that statement, what he was really saying is that if you're building a systematic business, if you're building a business that's built upon processes and it's not dependent on the charismatic leader that's driving those processes, and you can have charismatic leaders, and you should have, and they're great to have around, and we want that, but they have to be pushing and constantly communicating the process that builds this organization. And if that's not happening, within 2 years, your organization will still be in your backyard. Within 2 years, your organization will still look like you. And within a couple of years, you'll probably have frustration set in. And so I really want us to be thinking tonight about how systematic and in each area of my business, can I break it down to a handful of steps? You know, think about, how do you get somebody started in your business? You know, there should be really, I know we've got the blueprint. There's a lot of pages inside that blueprint, and most people don't read that. And I personally don't take a lot of time there. They can go back to that at any time. You know, I focus on a handful of steps. You know, my main concern with a brand new person is that there's a couple of steps that you need to take for you to get paid and promoted. By the way, if you can get your new agent paid and promoted, whatever it takes to get to that first promotion and that first paycheck, guys, that's exactly what it takes to get to crown in this organization. You just duplicate that same process over and over and over. Even inside of the wild parties, we have to evaluate, you know, is what I'm doing in my wild party, is it systematic? And you know, that's why in a wild party, I don't, you know, spend a whole lot of time on every single bullet point. You know, yes, there's 3 pages just on the Dead Sea alone. Do you think that the prospect sitting in the room needs 3 pages and an explanation that goes along with those 3 pages about the Dead Sea? By the way, most people are walking in there and they have a pretty good idea of what the Dead Sea is, or they've already heard about it. They know somebody that's traveled there. They've already got a positive, most likely a positive idea about the Dead Sea. So a few bullet points there. I make sure that I'm keeping everything extremely, extremely systematic. By the way, inside of the wild party, I'm watching the system that I'm doing inside the wild party, because I'm thinking to myself is that when I leave here, 2 things have to happen. I want these people to say, man, if this guy can do it. Matter of fact, purposely, some of the areas where I bumble a little bit is because I really want people to, and I bumble sometimes even when I'm trying not to bumble, but I want people to really believe that they can do it. I want them to say, man, I could do this. What he just did, I could do this. I don't want them to be uncomfortable. Matter of fact, that goes for women and men. You know, I want the guy that's sitting there to say, look, maybe I came in with a misconception that this was a girly type thing, but now I just saw this guy do it, and I see that it's really not, that it's something that I could do as a man. I want them to, secondly, to say that I would introduce other people to this, that it can't be corny, it can't be weird. That's why you'll never see me touching anybody inside of a wild party. I'm still amazed when I see posts on Facebook of people's wild parties where they're applying the salt and oil on somebody's hand. They're applying the stuff. Now, look, I understand if you buff someone's thumb, you know, I have no problem. I'll buff somebody's thumb, you know, on their behalf. Or you have one person maybe that you're going to do the Recover mask on, because the Recover mask is a very special product that will be the only time that you would see me touching anybody, because it's not duplicatable. It's not systematic. And it's going to freak some people out. And I've seen people turn our wild parties into these, you know, these pampering sessions. As a matter of fact, I don't introduce anybody to come to a wild party based on being pampered. And, you know, I don't know how that's going to lead to a business. If I come under the impression that I'm going to be in this spa-like environment and I'm going to be pampered and I'm going to be all relaxed, you know, that's going to be difficult to get that to duplicate. Matter of fact, it's going to be difficult for me if I'm the one invited to give you my credit card, because I came for a completely different purpose. When I'm inviting people to a wild party, I'm inviting people to come to check out a business. Now, does that mean I may get less people to show up? Yes, it does. I understand the process. I'm going to have to go through more people. I might have to invite 10 people to get 3 or 4 to show up. Where if I invite 10 people to come and get pampered and spot up and relax, maybe I get a few more people to come. But you know what? I get way less people that join the business. I end up with more frustration down the road. So again, part of my talk right now is that if you don't have a system, if you don't have a systematic approach, it will lead to frustration. So maybe tonight's call should be anti-frustration. Maybe this should be the inoculation to avoiding frustration into your organization by evaluating and taking inventory of the systems that you're currently using. If it's your mouth that's always moving, then you're probably more people dependent than you are system dependent. If it's your finger that's pointing, and if it's videos that are playing, and if it's products that are being put on, and if it's 3-way calls that are being done, then your business is probably a lot more systematic. And it's something that we've got to continue to look at as an organization. And you know, we have this secret system, and I think people use it a lot. They give lip service to the system a lot, but you know, the system really is about saving yourself some time, energy, and money. And by the way, the time and money isn't even the biggest thing. It's the energy that's expelled, because here's what happens. When somebody's putting a lot of energy into their business, and let's translate energy into work. When you have a new agent or any agent, a veteran agent that's putting a lot of energy, a lot of work into their business, and they're not getting the results that their mind believes they should get, again, what do you think it's going to lead to? It's going to lead to frustration. It's going to lead to them looking and evaluating everything else but themselves, or even the system that they're part of. But when you've got a very clear system that you follow every single time, I don't care if it's the doctor, President Obama, janitor, jelly maker, you have the exact same process, the same system that's followed every single time. It can't lead to frustration. It can't lead, because it starts to duplicate. At some point, it'll start to burn from the bottom up. It'll start to lead you. We've had the cliches, the stud to the dud and the dud to the stud. It'll start to cross these economic borders. It'll cross the religious and the racial and the geographic borders, because it's done systematically. And now your business is now growing in spite of you, not because of you. And by the way, that's been the goal for Tiffany and I from day one, is to have a business that grows in spite of us, not because of us. To not have to be in micromanagement mode every single day, to constantly be motivating and pumping people up, but to show someone, here is the specific system that we follow. Here's how we do it day in and day out. It's when, we took the time and we shared, the text message system. Now, I never said that the text message system was the only system that we use. I just said that it was a very simplified way for a brand new person who was experiencing fear, particularly a brand new person, but of course, veterans are using it every single day. I still use it to this day because it saves me time, energy, and money, which is part of having a systematic approach. But I came out and showed people from a brand new person who was doing no activity, because you're telling them to jump into the deep end of the pool and they cannot swim. So they're freaked out. They're scared. They're telling you what you want to hear. They're nodding with you. But as soon as they hang up the phone, or as soon as they get away from you, they're like, oh my goodness, I can't. They're thinking in their mind, I cannot do this. And eventually they fade off. And so using a systematic approach in every area, from getting someone started to contacting, inviting, to the actual presentation itself, from the wild party to the one-on-ones to everything, something that you could teach your you forget the 17-year-old, something you could teach your 7-year-old to do, to having the way you transition in the wild party from, you shouldn't be doing wild parties to get customers. Customers happen automatically. Customers are the byproduct of a wild party. Customers are what you become when you don't become an agent. But the intent of the wild party, based on that systematic approach, is to bring new agents in. New distribution points leads to more products moved, which leads, of course, to bigger commission checks, which is the opposite of frustration, which leads to happiness, high morale, and it brings the system right back around full circle. So I hope you're getting this, even from, I love Tiffany's transition that she's taught over and over and over, where people were afraid, well, how do I transition from the product? Well, part of the reason they were afraid is because they were inviting people to a foo-foo party, to a pampering party, and they weren't inviting people to see a business, which was really the intent in the first place. So the truth wasn't being told up front. So uncomfortability took place when it was time to transition into the business side. Of course, the guests were uncomfortable because they thought they were coming to a spa. They thought they were coming to be pampered, and all of a sudden you're going to talk about a business opportunity. I came here to relax, and now you got my guard up. And so again, by setting the stage properly from the get-go, that this is a business that you're coming to see. And of course, the products are the star of the show, and you're going to get a chance to experience, and you're going to see for yourself why so many people love our products and why people will continue buying our products, which leads to residual income, which is the reason why we're building the business in the first place, so that we can have the freedom. Then you can touch on the hot buttons that are theirs because you've communicated with them. You've asked them questions prior to coming. Hopefully you just didn't puke all over them and beg and coerce them to come to your wild party. You know a little bit about them. You know a little bit about their family. You know a little bit about their recreation activities. You know about, what's motivating them and their job and those type of things. And now when it comes time to transition to the business, it's natural, it's comfortable. And then based on their hot buttons that you know of, you're going to do the other systematic approach, which some people call closing. Here in Seacret, we call it opening because we're in relationship marketing and we're about to open a new relationship. But based on me being a professional, I already have hit the hot buttons based on what I know about the prospect that I'm introducing to the opportunity. And now my odds of bringing that person into the business with me have dramatically increased. And guys, I hope you're getting all this. And tonight, I really just want you to evaluate and see where you're at. Make sure that you're registered for the conference. I want to double check. I just want to see if Tiffany made it on the line. I don't see her her link on here. Normally I would see. I just want to see if she was able to make it. I know she's traveling throughout Australia, but Tiffany, if you made it on the line, can you jump in real quick? I just want to see if you did make it. I don't want people to miss the opportunity to hear from you. Doing an amazing job in Australia, by the way. Things are happening and booming there because of Tiffany following a very systematic approach. Is that Tiffany on the line there? Is that Tiffany? Maybe not. Okay, guys. Anyways, no need to belabor the call any further. I want to make sure that we are taking inventory of our organization, looking at what we're doing. Is it systematic or is it people-matic? Is it dependent upon me as a person? And what would happen if I step out of the mix? And if it's been that way up until now, it's no big deal. It's time to evaluate. It's time to adjust and start to operate in a manner that is more systematic, that will allow you to build an organization that grows in spite of you, not because of you, and which will lead to the financial independence that we all come here for. The reason you come to relationship marketing, the reason you come to Seacret is to be free. This is a freedom movement more than anything else. You come here to be free, not to just make a bunch of money. When someone tells me, look, I'm straight, I make a bunch of money, the first thing I ask them is, how much time do you have to put in for that money? How many years will you have to keep working to keep that money coming in? Wouldn't you like to have that same amount of money, but have the time freedom to enjoy it? Because most people I know that have a lot of money have no time. Or even worse, I know a lot of people that have they have a lot of time, but they have no money. Either way, you're not free. You're not living the life that you'd want to live. Relationship marketing, Seacret, allows us to have that freedom, to have the lifestyle that most people can only dream about. But you've got to build it intentionally. It does not happen by accident. It doesn't happen because you work hard. Some people are looking at their check, and they're looking at their hard work, and they think their check should be bigger because they've worked hard. That's not how it works in relationship marketing, guys. Your check is a direct reflection to how many people you taught and trained and developed inside of a systematic organization. Your check is not because you worked hard. I could work hard every single day doing something that's not duplicatable. People do it all the time. They're spinning their wheels. They've traded one spinning hamster wheel for another, one treadmill, one rat race for a new rat race, and they're just as frustrated. And maybe they're making more money in relationship marketing, but at some point you're going to get burnt out. You've heard this stuff. You're going to get burnt out here too. Why get burnt out when you can build an organization that's exhilarating, that charges you up, that's amazing and fun and exciting? I love Seacret. I just put a post on Facebook. Seacret is awesome. That was my whole post. I'm just saying, Seacret is awesome. I love it. I love what we're doing. I love what we continue to do. I love where we're going. I love the fact that we're building leaders that are catching on to building a systematic organization. I love that we're finding ways to purge the frustration out, that we're teaching people. Again, the cliche, work smarter, not harder, but it is true, guys. Bill Gates had become the richest man in the world because he worked harder than everybody else. I promise you there were people working much harder. I promise you the ditch digger that put in 12 hours that day that was ready to go to bed for the night, I guarantee you he felt like he worked harder than Bill Gates did for that same amount of time. But Bill Gates put systems in place and found ways to leverage himself, use the distribution system and and create a duplicatable distribution system that, of course, made him the richest man in the world. And this is what we are building. Look, Robert Kiyosaki said, this is not a mom and pop business. We're building a Fortune 500 type business. This is a big business. And the skills that are necessary to build a big business are the same skills that a Fortune 500 CEO has under his belt. So will you have them walking into it? Will your new agent have them walking into it? Well, if you recruited a Fortune 500 CEO, then yes. But most people don't have the courage yet to approach that person. They don't have the posture yet to approach that person. But as they get stronger, they realize that the closer they can get to that CEO of a Fortune 500 business, the closer they're going to get to their own financial independence. When they start to bring people in that have those characteristics, that have those qualities, it starts to move quicker. People understand duplication. Bring in a franchise owner, and you'll start to discover pretty quickly they get duplication. You bring in somebody else, you're going to have to work on the development. There's nothing wrong with that. By the way, I prefer a lot of times to develop the school teacher. I prefer to develop the engineer. I prefer to develop the professional athlete, the person who doesn't know yet, but is willing and open to listen and learn a systematic approach to building a lifestyle that most people will only dream of. Guys, anyhow, we've got our convention coming up. You guys know Ignite is just around the corner. Hopefully you're already registered. We're going to teach the systematic approach there, details from every area that we can't cover, obviously in a 40, 30, I think we're about 30 minutes into the call right now. We can't cover every aspect. Every week we'll continue to come and bring the communication to you. We'll bring the training. We'll bring the information that's necessary and the ideas. But then it's up to us to act upon them. Then it's up to us to take it to the next level. And part of that next level will be at the most important international convention that we've ever done. That's coming up here in September. And I would highly encourage you, if you're bringing new people in. By the way, we're recruiting a lot of new people. I'm seeing the posts, I got my 5. People are now starting to cross the 20 barrier. I've seen some posts yesterday of people that have crossed the 10 new agents in their business barrier. So that's great. Now having a systematic approach for bringing them in the business, a systematic approach for moving them through, getting them paid and promoted, and teaching them how to avoid the frustration that so many people will experience without a process-oriented approach. So guys, make sure that they are registered and they understand the importance for being at this international convention where the greatest minds inside of Seacret, the concepts, the new announcements. By the way, there's some amazing things that are coming. You think we got it good now? Wait till you see some of the things that are coming, the enhancements that are coming that are ensuring that we become this multi-billion-dollar global powerhouse that we continue to talk about, and of course have the product and the infrastructure already in place to support that. Now it's just a matter of bringing the people in and teaching them properly. So, guys, anyways, it's my pleasure to be on the call tonight. I'm glad to be back from Australia. I'll be back just shortly, and then we'll be heading back to Australia. We see big things happening in that market and continuing to happen there. But of course, the same things are happening all over the world, the markets that we operate in, Japan. And I was talking to Jacob last night. He's telling me that Germany is really starting to pick up steam. There's some amazing leaders that are popping up there, and everything rises and falls on leadership. So anyways, guys, thank you. God bless you. Appreciate you being on the call tonight. Take care. Good night.